Welcome to the breakdown. Yes, Super Rugby is back and we are at level 1, which means we can bring it in, team. That's enough. That's enough. Where you going? Take care, Posies. Stay with us tonight on the breakdown. Plenty to look forward to.
Captain Weber is in! The race, and he's in again!
Having a go himself, and the little man's in.
Welcome to the breakdown. Yes, Super Rugby is back. It breaks free of lockdown. We've got plenty to look forward to on the show tonight. And gents, Mills Muliaina, Sir John Kerr and JK, our wait is finally over. The expectation, though, of this weekend, can the rugby live up to it?
Well, vinegar or sauce on your chips at live footy, Mills?
Tomato sauce all day.
Vinegar.
You're going to need something because I reckon it's going to be amazing. For me, 2 pre-seasons for the players, Mills, the excitement, the waiting, derbies, you know, you mate against mate, as they would say in Aussie.
Well, they've almost had a 6 or 7 match pre-season already, haven't they? They had an opportunity to look at some of the things that they were able to do and work some kinks out. Some have gone and signed some players. Nehi Murascata's gone down to Dunedin. Dan Carter, of course, to the Blues. But Mills, is this a competition for the fastest, the fittest, or maybe the smartest team to come through, given the fact we're talking about 8 derbies per team?
Oh, I tell you what, you're going to get the fastest and the fittest throughout this whole competition, but I think it's going to come down to smarts. I mean, the coaching about it and the depth of squad, because there's always been talk about how physical the New Zealand Conference is. Well, now, you know, that's their chance to show it.
Is it a sprint?
It's definitely a sprint.
I don't think it is a sprint. I think it's a bit of a marathon, or maybe it's like an 800-metre race.
The Blues love a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
Love a sprint.
I reckon you're already starting a parade. Have you organised that down Queen Street?
Totally.
You know, lifting of the trophy? Yeah. You are way too far ahead of yourself. Way too far ahead of yourself. We are going to be at either game this weekend, whether it's down in Dunedin, whether it's in Auckland. Bernadine, well, she was going to be here. She's managed to find her way onto a plane down to Dunedin to maybe go and see her Chiefs. 0-1 or 1-0, we will see.
Better believe it. It was like Hunger Games getting to the boss's desk, wasn't it, to try and get on that trip. Look, no tax cuts, no more public holidays. Be nice, though, wouldn't it? But was this not one of the best announcements delivered by a politician in 2020?
And so today, I can announce that Cabinet has agreed we will now move to level 1 to get our economy fully open again, and we will start almost immediately.
Yes, indeedy. We have been in alert level 1 less than 24 hours and already the tickets to this weekend's matches are printed. They are flying out the door. We have done it, haven't we? In fact, Dunedin's expecting a full house for the Highlanders against the Chiefs. Can you imagine the zoo down there? And the response to Sunday's match between the Blues and the Canes has been described as phenomenal. Dirt cheap tickets, kids free with a paying adult at Eden Park. Get on board and celebrate what the rest of the world can only watch with envy, the return of live sport in front of crowds, real ones, not cardboard cutouts and can clapping. We've got the real deal. All right, well, here on Breakdown, we love a good Eddie Jones quote, and we had the England coach on the show last week who, well, he dropped a couple of pearlers. Mills, you baited him absolutely brilliantly, and if you haven't seen it, it's gone viral. Check it out.
Eddie, we're about to start Aotearoa, Super Rugby Aotearoa next week. What are you anticipating seeing, you know, amongst the New Zealand teams, given you've given all that about the All Blacks?
Just so many good young players, mate. Because you got 3 of the biggest academies in the world, Fiji, Samoa and Tonga. They're not bad.
He's winding up international coaches. You're taking on the PM, Mills, Larry King, Muliaina.
There's always danger, isn't there? Danger on the show when you get personalities like that. But even things like that for me, Mills, the fact that he's engaged in what we're doing but finds a way to have a crack at us regardless.
Oh, isn't it great too to be able to see that off him, you know, because that's what he's like, you know, he's an absolute character. Yes, when he goes and has those press conferences, he's, you know, he's outspoken, but that side of him is great, and it's great to see.
You only walk into that sort of thing once. You should only walk into that sort of thing once with...
He could have a future, you know, in the gallery as a political reporter, because he's getting not just replies, but he's getting answers. I love it. There is an old saying that winning friends and influencing people, and it couldn't be more appropriate for incoming Wallabies coach Dave Rennie. The Kiwis believed to have taken a voluntary 30% pay cut for 3 months on his rumoured $1 million contract. Rugby Australia, initially they ruled out asking the new head coach to take a pay cut. They probably didn't feel it was the right time, but talk about endearing yourself to your new fan base. Well played, Dave Rennie. He has been one of the greatest servants of the game, but South African 7-star Cecil Africa is hanging up the boots. He's the Blitzbox top point scorer of all time with 1,462 of them to his name. He's collected a Commonwealth gold medal and Olympic bronze medal since making his debut in 2009 and was the 2011 World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year. Quite the CV. And I suspect he couldn't get out of the hospital door quick enough, but it's a miracle that Michael Fatialofa is walking at all. We've been following his progress here on The Breakdown. We saw him take his first steps in hospital after he suffered a serious spinal injury while playing in the Gallagher Premiership. Now he's walked out of the hospital door, home. The 27-year-old Kiwi, he's been in a UK hospital since the accident in January, and the former Hurricane will be thrilled to be rehabbing now at home in Worcester. And oh, so close. 4 sleeps. It's like Christmas, isn't it, until Super Rugby Aotearoa. But no Geordie Barrett and my Chiefs there without their leader, Sam Cane. Could this be why? Some dodgy bombing in the pool. All in aid of World Ocean Day. Great cause. Terrible technique, Sam. And if you're not traumatised enough by those budgie smugglers, there's another look.
That's leadership. That is leadership, Mills.
Not sure those are standard issue.
Have you got a pair of those?
Those budgies, Matt, there's definitely some shrinkage there. It's not the budgies. It's a cold day in Hamilton, you can tell.
Surprised there's not frost or ice on the top of that pool.
That's our All Black captain, JK. I love it. Is that the manu or is it the fact? Or
What are you rolling?
Well, I think you forgot his All Black captain. You don't wear budgie smugglers.
Oh, mate, I'm right behind it, 100%. I am right behind it. Look, what we can say is we know that this weekend we've got a contest in front of us. And, you think about this game and what's coming up down in Dunedin and what is happening for this competition. How excited are we about the fact that we're finally getting to see our best athletes back in action?
I'm excited because I don't know. It's like been this amazing time for everyone. And I'm thinking, is it going to be like pre-season, Mills, where there could be a few nerves, a few handling errors, or it's just going to be like a classic great encounter straight away? I don't know how the players are going to be. I don't know whether they've had enough time. It's just really intriguing. That's what I love about it.
I think there will be. There will be a bit of nerves. And you're right, it's the unknown for everyone. I mean, going into this your second pre-season and not knowing sort of what that looks like, who's actually trained their hardest, during that 4-week lockdown, that's the unknown bit about it. Everything gets thrown out the window and they all start all over again. So I'm looking forward to that.
When it happens down in Dunedin, it is at Forsyth Bar Stadium. It is on Saturday night. It's time now to look in behind the scenes and hear from the players. We know there's a bit of a cold snap going on, but Ash Dixon, no issues for him down there. Aaron Cruden, he might have some problems heading down south. But Ash, come on, how ready are you? How long's it been for you? How excited are you about the fact you're going to be taking on these Chiefs down in Dunedin this weekend?
Oh, mate, it's been ages since we've, had a game of footy, so the boys are itching to go this weekend. So, yeah, it's a bit cold down here, and I'm sure Cruds will be packing his long johns. But, for us, we're really excited and be able to play a quality side like the Chiefs at home. First up is we can't wait.
Cruz, you're talking about going down to Dunedin. Is this probably the best place, the best opportunity for you guys to restart your season and probably get some of that momentum again and show what you guys are capable, because it might be cold, but it'll still be hard and fast?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, playing down in Forsyth Bar is always a spectacle. You know exactly what the conditions are going to be, and both teams, I'm sure, will come with intent and desire to put on a bit of a show, especially now that there's going to be fans there live at the stadium, which is great. And as Ash said, it's been a long time between drinks, so everyone's just keen and eager to get back out on the field.
Croods, do not believe these two, mate. It's JK. He's a South Islander. He said it's a bit cold. They're predicting minus 15 tonight, mate. So take whatever you can to stay warm. But I won't call you an older athlete. I'll call you a mature athlete, Croods. But has it been 2 pre-seasons? Because that would be a nightmare for me. if I came back to New Zealand, kicked back into Super Rugby Aotearoa, and then you've had to do 2 pre-seasons. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's obviously been new for everyone involved during lockdown. Look, our trainers did a great job making sure that the boys were still clear on what the expectations were and what the training procedures were. But yeah, as you said, obviously since we've come back together as a team, we've known exactly what the start date is, and we've been working towards that. So we've had to get a lot done in that time. Obviously the contact work is probably the most important. But fingers crossed on Saturday night, both teams will be able to go out there and express that.
Ash, I want to ask, the form in the Investec Super Rugby, wasn't it great for you guys? You lost a few games on the trot. What is it about now for the Highlanders? Is it throwing all that game plan out the window, or what do you go to next in terms of this whole new competition?
Yeah, 100%. Those we were well below average in those first few games. We had to take a few lessons in that. And I think the lockdown's been good for us because it realised there was a massive realisation of what we're doing wrong, and a lot was around our prep and a few things that we weren't quite nailing. So we've had the opportunity to get it right. But in saying that, these last 3 weeks have been awesome because, everyone's really excited to play. And being back at Forsyth always helps, hope in front of a good crowd. So I'm sure if the Zoom get amongst it and get the chicken bones field early when the Chiefs boys are warming up, I'm sure they'll go a long way for us.
Look, Aaron, there's been a couple of changes in terms of the fact we're talking about Golden Point now, and the red card penalties for that have changed, but also there's been some focus in and around the breakdown. What are you expecting those changes maybe doing to the game itself?
Oh, yeah, I think it'll be really exciting. Hopefully it encourages a lot more time with the ball in play, I suppose. Probably over the last 5 years or so, I think the game of rugby has evolved immensely. It's not just a 15-man game anymore. It's a 23-man game. And your subs need to be ready and able to come on and make an impact. So I think with the new rule changes and different initiatives that are sort of being put in place for this competition, hopefully it just brings out a lot more razzle-dazzle and some quality football.
Crudes, we had Gats on a couple of times. Once he danced, which wasn't pretty. But besides that, he's a great student to the game and always studying new ways to do stuff. One thing that really intrigued us as a panel here was him talking about, the razzle-dazzle and getting that balance right between the kicking game. Thought we could learn stuff from the Northern Hemisphere. Some of the things you're looking forward to bringing into the game are going to change a lot of stuff. I know Ash is listening, but a few changes?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be changes. I suppose, rugby's always evolving, and obviously for us having such a quality head coach like Gats, bringing all of his experience from the Northern Hemisphere back home with him, I think, the biggest challenge is always trying to find that balance. Often, traditionally, New Zealand teams, we like to move the ball, we like to identify where the space is, but, that's not necessarily always the best case because sometimes defensively, you can apply pressure that way or just winning the territory battle. So, I think whichever team is, obviously it's a bit of a cliche, but able to control those areas, set a foundation up front, will probably be sitting pretty in this Super Rugby Aotearoa.
Ash, that's the first 5 talking. Let's hear from a hooker about what the game's really all about, what's really important. We know the game's different, but I would say this, though. Let's talk about when you talk about the opposition, because you always do, preparing for different teams. When the Highlanders, they talk about the Chiefs, what is it you are talking about in terms of that rivalry?
Oh, look, the Chiefs historically are a very physical side, and they got quality right across the park. And if you don't start well against those boys, or you give them a bit of space, you're playing catch-up footy the whole time. So, like Cruds alluded to before, playing in Forsyth Bar, it's going to be quick no matter what. So, we're predicting the ball's going to be in play for a fair bit. So, look, we're just excited about this challenge. We know we're up for a big one, but it's one that we're looking forward to. And to be the first game kicking off this weekend. Look, we can't wait to play at Forsyth Bar. It'll be an awesome weekend for footy and for New Zealand.
Cruds, I want to ask, are you more excited about this week, or are you nervous? You're putting a big poker face on there with your cup of tea, mate. No cowbell milk in there, buddy.
It's a green tea, Millsy.
You've changed. You've changed.
Thank you. Look, I think naturally, as all of you guys will know, there'll be obviously a lot of excitement, but nerves as well, naturally. But I think the great thing is, like, what a way to actually broadcast to the world, I guess, New Zealand rugby. The first competition to be back up and running with our fans at the stadium. So I think that's why we play the game as well. You know, you always want to compete and sort of put yourself up against the best. And we've got 5 of the best Super Rugby teams in this competition in this country, and we're going to be going head to head week in and week out, which is fantastic.
As pre-lockdown or pre-COVID, actually, everyone was talking about Super Rugby and how hard it is for the New Zealand sides to play against each other, you know, and that takes a long time to recover. You're now looking at 8 weeks of it, which is going to be amazing for us sitting on the sideline eating chips. But for you, I mean, have the trainers spoken about special recovery, what you might need to do just to make sure you can get through, you know, 8 weeks of this, which is going to be incredible?
Yeah, for sure. Everyone's talked about, you know, I guess how we can look after ourselves in these next 8 weeks. But I guess for us, you've just got to be able to adapt as quick as you can. I think there's going to be a few curveballs thrown in over this competition, whether it be injuries or performance or whatever. But I think the teams that can adapt quickly to this new style of play and the brutality that's coming ahead are going to go really good in these derbies. And like Cruds was saying and you guys were saying, they're going to be pretty fierce, but I think it's also going to be exciting for everybody. So, look, we're just going to get on that horse as quick as we can and, you know, give it a good slap and see how we go.
Ash, Chiefs give away a lot of penalties, 10 in their last sort of game. Is this? This is Crud's question to you. What are you going to do to target that, mate?
I'll leave that to the ref. Yeah.
Because they know you're right.
I just want to make sure that the referee doesn't allow any of the Chiefs boys to get caught up in a Highlander sandwich like that.
Yes. I like it.
So let's make sure we're watching that, please.
Well, with that, we'll give you any final words, Ash, for Cruds before he gets on a plane on Friday and heads down to Dunedin?
Nah, Cruds is a top bloke. I can't wait to see him on the field and play in the game. It's great that he's back in NZ. So, no, it'd be good to catch up with him on the field. And
if he starts running down your channel, Cruds?
Yeah, I'll be grass cutting. Self-preservation now, 30 plus. It's all about self-preservation.
All right, guys, it looks as though you're excited. We're excited. Hey, thanks very much for your time. Looking forward to seeing those smiles on the field on Saturday down in Dunedin. Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, team.
Outstanding to get that sort of access to the guys. There it is, the Highlanders, they're taking on the Chiefs. 6:30 p.m. at Forsyth Bar Stadium. The build-up starts, and at 7 o'clock it will be kick-off, 7:05. How good's that?
I've got a question.
Oh, you've always got a question.
I've actually got a question that I should have asked Cruz. What happens to his Japanese contract now? Does he stay with us now? Do we...
I'll tell you what, I bet you he's glad he got out of France. That's for sure, man.
I'll tell you that.
I mean, all those things are up in there, aren't they? It's interesting.
Well, they have had the referees in camp with them last week in terms of preparing them for some of those adjustments they've had to make. So I start thinking about that, and then you hear them talk about it. You get the sense they're hopeful, Mills, that there's going to be a little bit more space, maybe a little bit more freedom. Maybe they're going to be able to get some more continuity into the game. Do you think the teams are going to allow that?
Oh, I think we definitely will not try to allow that sort of to open up from a defensive point of view. But when you're attacking, it's interesting to hear them say that, you know, the ball will look like it's going to be in play a lot more. That's traditionally for New Zealand teams been a real big asset to our game. So what that looks like, perhaps, you know, quick throw-ins, the line-out's going to be crucial. So where can you actually win that ball? Perhaps set piece for defensive teams, JK.
Yeah, and it was really interesting listening to the Warriors say the first week was great, the second week we didn't, the rules got us. When Ash said about the team that can adapt, you can't afford to drop a game early, Mills. So you're going to have to adapt very quickly and on the run, and what the referee's saying to you. Well,
I think you can. I don't think any team is going to go through this competition undefeated. They're going to be too many difficult games away from home. These are derbies where fatigue and injury, all of those things are going to play a part. And remembering there is no final here.
Yeah.
This is top of the table, Mills. So the fact all of a sudden you start talking about bonus points, the nature of games and survival. I would be surprised if anyone found a way to go this competition, maybe even to win 7 games.
Well, I hope not, because that makes the tournament.
It does, yeah.
Is that the way? I mean, can you see anybody doing that?
But I mean, it's so hard to see because the 5 franchises are just stacked in terms of talent, and so when you look at that, your squad's going to be crucial.
Yeah.
So that coaching now comes into play. How you use that squad, and injuries is going to be a big factor as well, especially to your key players. You know, you've seen the squads and some of their sort of the All Blacks players that they've got in there as well. It's spread right across the field, so that's why it becomes so interesting.
Depth is going to be critical in this competition, and guys being able to come in on short notice and perform and recover, JK, like you talked about. Well, of course, we've all got who we think could go on and win. We've all got our favourites. We asked our Sky Rugby team to give us their picks for 2020 Super Rugby Aotearoa.
The big question on everyone's lips, Super Rugby Aotearoa, who's going to win it and why?
I said it at the start of the season, the Chiefs, and I see no reason to change that thinking.
Well, for me, it's still the Crusaders.
As a typical, he'll go with the Crusaders.
I think the Crusaders.
No surprises there.
They've got a brilliant young back line, and having Sam Whitelock back, that's worth points on the board.
He'll have a bit of chip on his shoulder, so he'll want to prove some things.
They might have a slight disadvantage in that they don't have a game the first week.
Crusaders, of course, are going to be hard to beat. So also the Hurricanes and the Blues.
JK, well, he'll be loving the Blues at the moment with the 2 new signings, Beauden Barrett and Nisbet.
The Chiefs, sure, they had a couple of setbacks during the Super Rugby season, but I think they have the depth in the squad to carry on and win this local competition.
I'm going to go for, well, the Chiefs. Aaron Cruden, he's my boy. Let's go.
I think, why not the Crusaders? They win everything else, so they might as well win this, considering it's a new tournament. Oompha.
Yeah. Oompha. Really?
Was he in a swamp?
Oh, I don't know where he was.
Didn't look like Queenstown.
Backyard. It's certainly not in Queenstown.
No.
Mills, you think about the quality of the team. We've just talked about them. Who are you picking to win this competition and why?
Look, I think the Chiefs, I'll have to agree with Nisbet. I think, you know, right across the board and what they've got, the depth that they've got across the board from when you look at your props through to your back line, the experience they've got in that department, you know, I think is absolutely crucial. And they've been together. The continuity throughout the last couple of years, when you look at some of these names and the Boschiers and the Jacobsons about to come into it, you talked about the fact that, you know, well, Sam Cane's out this week. Massive experience. But these guys have actually, you know, played together for a very long time. Sawakula. You know, those are the guys I'm talking about. So I think depth is crucial, and the fact that they've experienced that for the last couple of years is going to be a key for them winning.
JK, for you?
Look, I think that you can't predict it easy just because of what we spoke about right? Your squad depth. I'll just say Barrett and Carter as I throw that out there as squad depth, right? What's going to happen with a few injuries? You can't write the Crusaders off. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with Marshy. But it is a sprint. And I think who gets confidence early? We spoke about this, you know, the provincial competition a few years ago. You get a good start, it might just give you that confidence. So I'm emotionally going for the Blues, as always, but you can't write off the Crusaders ever.
Wow, and I agree with you, but I look at...
You agree with me?
I agree with you, but I don't agree with the fact that I believe that the Blues are the side for me when you add Beauden Barrett into the mix and the confidence that they have got. If they can get that and they add him into it, we're talking about a game changer. Here's a guy, the one thing they've been craving for at the Blues is to have a team with his sort of experience. You add that to what they've been getting in terms of leadership. They've got Carl Tunukuafe and Ofatuanga up front, Patrick Tupulotu. Competition at number 8. I hear Akira Ioane is in fantastic condition. So Hoskins Satutu, if he continues his development. For me, I look at this, the loss of Stephen Perefeta does consume me at fullback. But the Blues, for me, are the team to beat, I believe, in this competition with what they have added to their squad.
Everybody at home, can you please press Sky Record, because I'm going to need that.
Yes, well, it all kicks off on Saturday. The Chiefs, who Mills have selected, they are taking on the Highlanders. That all kicks off on Saturday afternoon. That is at Forsyth Bar AM, Saturday night, actually, at 7 o'clock. And it's all on Sunday then. Beauden Barrett For the first time, he strips up. He puts that jersey on for the Blues.
Yeah, with Dan, that feedback was immediate. It was switching off and missing one opportunity when I was thinking about the next phase. So just staying right in that moment to potentially get a 20%, like an option that I thought wasn't going to happen, but it still is likely. So I was probably thinking more about the next phase rather than making the most of the current phase. So little things like that. He obviously knows that position very well, and he was watching me go through it. So there's just that instant feedback, and it's something that he demands of me as well from my previous experience.
Welcome back to the breakdown. Yes, we're talking about it. We're talking about this weekend. We're talking about Super Rugby Aotearoa. It kicks off first in Dunedin, and then it's in Auckland at Eden Park from the Blues. CEO joins us here of the Blues, Andrew Hoare. And look, at 3:06 yesterday, you heard the news you were looking for, right, from the Prime Minister, the fact we could have crowds. Where do we sit right now? How many tickets have you sold since then to now?
Yeah, we're ticking over the 25,000 mark now.
25,000 people have jumped on board.
Amazing.
And so when you were pitching, what is it you've pitched, and why have you gone down the track you have?
Well, I think being an afternoon game, and look, you want that joy of being a kid again at the footy, don't you? That whole thing. So we've really pushed hard to have those kids for free. The Eden Park have come on board and done an outstanding job in having the kids on the field after the game. So, yeah, hopefully we can get a real experience and get the families down there at a great time to play footy.
Baptism of fire for you, Andrew. Came in and then this has all happened. But, I mean, what are you most excited about around Rugby Aotearoa?
Oh, I just think, look, you talked about it. It's 8 weeks of probably the best footy with the best teams, you know, and every week is almost at that test match level. So just that excitement and that feel every week and just in generating that excitement will be outstanding. We're really looking forward to it. There was a real buzz around the whole franchise today. It was awesome, really good.
Andrew, I know it's been difficult for a lot of people. You mentioned 25,000. How much of that have you been able to keep your sort of season ticket holders and also your corporate box area people? Has that been pretty difficult to do? Or?
Yeah, look, everyone's struggling, and so we've had to take the corporate box space has been talking to everybody regularly because it's not, you know, our industry's hurt, but every industry's hurt, isn't it, you know? And some of our members have been unbelievable. If you talk to any of the super franchises, I'd say all of the CEOs have been overwhelmed. And if anything, you know, I think it's come out of this is just the spirit with which the rugby community has worked so well together. It's been, whether it be with Sky, with our players during all of this, or our members and their support, I think you'll see a transformation and a change in our game and around that whole commercial aspect and how it marries into the rugby. It's been fantastic.
So as part of that, the game day experience and some new initiatives, particularly say you're running this weekend, and where's the driving force behind those come from?
Yeah, no, look, we've got I think there's an opportunity to open ourselves up a bit more and be more friendly in and around the whole experience for the customer. So we've got a lot of work to do. You know, some of our aspects of our business are tied, our ticket systems, etc. But that's where, you know, you start to get 25,000, 30,000 plus, you can do more and put more into that experience. So that's what we'll be looking to do and identifying those areas we need to work on.
And using the space as well. You're running a coaching clinic per se for kids,
yeah,
you know, well and truly before the game. I mean, whose idea was that?
Yeah, no, Auckland Rugby coming on board there. So again, that whole partnership issue, our members can bring their kids down and go out and do those kind of things. So we want it to be a real fun day out for everybody. And it was just part of that whole package, which was brilliant.
I mean, I'm probably the happiest man in the world. I have bromance with Bodie, and now you've brought Dan Carter in. I don't know where to put myself. But to be fair, you know, when I went to the Warriors a long time ago, people said, "Oh, just doing it for the money," which is relatively true, but but obviously Dan Carter's not doing that. You know, what's his motivation? You've been around him, you know, he's come into the organisation. Bodie's always saying, shit, he's actually, you know, lifted the standard around me. I mean, is he serious about getting out there? Where's he standing?
Yeah, no, he is. And actually John Hart and I were talking today, and he said at first, you know, he's a bit nervous, but he's really keen to, you know, he's a champion and he gets that sniff of wanting to play. And on Saturday we went down and you know, one of our young 10s was out running with him on the touchline because he was doing his intervals. he's still 3 metres ahead, and this kid was still working hard. You know, it's that kind of thing that, for these young players, they get a taste of that, and they get to see how true professionals train and prepare. So it's been outstanding, yeah, even in a very short time. It's been great.
Andrew, there's no lie. This would have to be the most difficult sort of franchise to be able to sort of launch out there and get sort of connection with your fans, given there's so many sports happening up here in Auckland. What have you done differently? Have you come in and sort of, has it been wholesale changes, or have you sort of come in and thought, well, let's think outside the box here? I mean, you went with the Warriors sort of day as well. Is there more ideas to come like that?
Yeah, I think there definitely are. I think, look, I've only been really here 5 minutes and then COVID comes, to be honest. We know that we've got to connect a lot more with our community, and we're looking at some initiatives to do that. I think you saw that, the start of that with the, you know, the food parcel delivery, etc. And that's been led a lot actually by Patrick Tupolotu, who I think has got potential to be one of the great captains for the Blues. He's fantastic, and he's got a really good leadership team around him with Tom Robinson and those kind of players in that ilk. So that's got to come from within. But there's a real desire there, and these people, these players, you can see it, they want to be where great Blues teams have been. But we've had a lot of false dawns too. So we've just got to build an innings, and we've got to work bloody hard to get people's faith in us back again. Yep, and there was some discussion, of course, around DC last week, but what influence have you seen Beauden Barrett bring to this group? The fact, you know the talent level. We talked to Patrick Tupolotu on the show about the fact they wanted to try and divorce him of that expectation and just allow him to come back in. What have you seen from him, and how has he contributed to this group? Yeah, I think the one thing, like, you can tell Bodie must have had great parents, because just the fact that when you speak to him, there's a maturity about him, and that sort of level-headedness and that very humble person. And, you know, you're talking about a man, and even Dan, you know, Dan still was going out goal kicking when he'd actually effectively retired. You know, it's that relentless pursuit of perfection in everything they do. You see it in the Johnny Wilkinsons and these kind of players, and they've got that same desire, that same drive, but that same level-headedness, which is really nice, great to have in the environment. Andrew, I'd like to change tack a wee bit if I can. You said you've only been here 5 minutes, but you've been around the game all over the world, in many different places, Northern Hemisphere, Scotland, Australia. You know, if you wanted to change now, and I think it's a moment to change, what does our global season look like, and where do we sit in that? For you, just your opinion, without putting the politics that may be around you. Yeah, and look, I think one of the key things that's happened with Aotearoa is it's a fantastic initiative, and I don't want to compromise that in any way, and things have definitely been around closed doors. So it is definitely an opinion, but I think, look, great competitions need to be great competitions in the first instance, and I think we can do more in and around making sure that when we go to the start line, we have an even closer spread of points and matches and a real competitiveness leading through to some kind of regional playoff. And then I think I really would, and I've been open about this, and it may not be one of the things that come out of Aotearoa, but we've always had a very strong view that then having that Northern Hemisphere connection is vital, having a Munster or in Northampton, it's exciting. And so you want the best with the best, definitely, and I think there's a real opportunity now to do that. You want the best with the best. These two, you've heard both of them say it's the Blues this year. You're sitting here, no doubt you think it's going to Blues. What's going to make the Blues? What's it going to take for the Blues to win this competition? You might have some players watching tonight, so or perhaps not. What's it going to take for the Blues to win this competition? I'm not going to sit here and do sort of the normal and create any false dawns. We're a work in progress, right? And if we don't just stick to doing the things that Leon, I know, has asked the squad to do, then it'll be another false dawn. So the first thing we've got to do is understand that we are still a work in progress. And even if we get off to 2 or 3 wins, we're still a work in progress. Nice. So I think that's a really key thing we need to focus on, both at administration and on the field, and I think we'll do that. As part of your vision, though, to look in wider Auckland, looking across the bridge to North Harbour, looking up to Northland, these are key partners in terms of the Blues. As part of that, building those relationships and trying to look and develop from within, because there's always been that belief the talent is here. Is that part of the strategy going forward? It is indeed, and I think we've ended up having some great conversations with the PU partners. Again, we've got a lot of work to do in there, but Northland, you can see with the 4 or 5 guys we've got from there being outstanding. You know, James Parsons from Harbour and the work. So there is a lot. But what we've got to do too is I think we've got to put a potential on the line and understand that it's actually okay in this modern era for us to bring some guys in outside that may supplement the talent that we have here and may actually shake it up a bit. So it's but we've got to get our talent ID processes right here first. And so that's what everyone says it, and I know we've just got to live it fundamentally and give it as best shot as we've got.
The franchises are heavily supported by the NZRFU. How do you see the future looking for franchises like the Blues and the Chiefs where they can actually stand alone, earn money for themselves, have players fully paid? I mean, do you see a future around that, or do you think we're always going to be New Zealand All Black centric? No,
I believe completely that when we first started, the amount of income in proportion to what we're probably getting from the NZRU was greater, where the franchise were generating far more. And so I think ultimately there's still got to be, you can see with the excitement of this competition what it can generate. If you can get crowds, then you get the TV revenue and so on and so forth. So I see a future where, particularly if we globalise it or extend our footprint, then why can't we be like any other, professional sporting franchise and run ourselves effectively? That said, I think one of the great strengths of New Zealand rugby is the ability to connect through to that national team and for us to connect through to our PUs and the kids that get the footy balls in their hands to start with. So we've got to keep that in the back of our mind, but it's a trade-off and it's getting the fine balance, and possibly the balance isn't quite there. And I think what Mark Robinson and his team are doing is they're saying, well, let's have a bloody good look under the bonnet and see what we can do. So it's exciting.
You've done that on the game day experience for this weekend. You're sitting, we're at 25,000 right now,
yes,
and that's just over 24 hours. If you start getting later on in this week, how hopeful of you when you talk about the capacity at Eden Park? What would you love to see for you come kick-off time at 3:35 on Sunday?
Well, the burning desire for everyone would be a packed house, at least 40k. Whether we get there, though, I don't know. This is uncharted territory in a lot of ways. I don't think it's since 2011 that there's been a sort of a mid-30s type crowd. So I would hopefully we're knocking on that sort of 40 space.
What do you do with the fans on the pitch then? Because you've got 40,000 people.
Poor groundsman is going to be
40,000. But that sort of initiative, you talk about that. I mean, if you were able to get that, these decisions not just about this weekend? Was this about the future?
Yeah, it is. It's about putting a marker in the sand. I also think we need to reconnect in around that 18 to 35-year-old space, and that's where Saturday night is going to be great because we've got the ability to potentially change it. Not this year's been very rough and ready, but some of the discussions we're having about the future. And unlike 20 years ago when you were 18 to 35, then there's not only the male demographic but female demographic as well.
Not anymore. No, well and truly, he's well past it. He's doubling it. But you look at that demographic you're saying.
Yeah. We want to, and it's a great opportunity to have more female and males coming through the turnstiles.
You have no idea how excited he is.
Yeah.
Like, from a guy who's been there, who's so passionate about the Blues and how desperate he is to see them win. It's outstanding what you're doing. Good luck on the weekend. No, more importantly about the fans and them being there because you've given them the opportunity. And thanks very much. We know how busy you are because it's been crazy given the fact you've had to make some big decisions the last 24 hours. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Cheers.
Bernie, it's all happening. It is all happening. It's all happening at Eden Park.
Very exciting talk, and Jeff Wilson saying that the Blues are going to take it. What have you done with Jeff Wilson? Plans are being hatched all around the country how fans are going to be watching the kick-off to Super Rugby Aotearoa. You had a peek last week of how the breakdown team is planning on parking up when not working, of course. How about one of our commentators? How's Marshy watching? He'll try and get fancy, betcha.
1 minute to kick off. Game prep. Ball. Straight on the tee. Chip. Yes. Hoomba. Beautiful. Sky remote. Dummy. Gotta hold on to this. Oh, so good. Beautiful. Game time.
Yeah, told you. There was even a bump for beer in there. Quick show of hands. Has anyone received their bump for beer yet? Anyone? Anyone?
Still, I think you're going to see it pretty soon, though, JK.
Yeah, I've got him coming to my house for the...
Right.
Because I've been giving him a lot of grief about how he makes pizza, so we're going to see.
Right, OK, but it's all about the liquid, so you know where we are. All right, so Paul Taraki Coleman, he's a Canes fan, and he has got the setup sorted for an epic fan zone this is sweet, and he's in the running for tickets to the Blues and Canes game this Sunday. It's a double pass. How epic is that? Hashtag envy. Amazing. That's the ultimate man cave, isn't it? You too can get double passes to the game. Just email us with your details and you and a mate can be at Eden Park celebrating the return of rugby, or as JK will be hoping, celebrating Blues win.
Actually, Andrew's giving us the tickets. He didn't know that.
Thanks in advance.
You got those in your pocket? The platinum passes, wherever we can get, we'll find them. Well, we talk so much rugby here on the show, but of course, we also have Sky Sports presents The Pod. And the voice of the All Blacks, Grant Nisbet, he had the opportunity to catch up with one of our All Black greats and current New Zealand rugby president, Ian Kirkpatrick.
It should have been he goes, we go. I mean, I'm quite sure what that would have done with things, but there was, you know, I just feel that probably looking back, I was, you know, too young to make a real stand. I mean, the manager did have the right to do what he was allowed to do, and that was part of, I mean, it was his judgment, and he had the right to do. If he wanted to send a player home, he could. You know, that was part of being manager. So yeah, it's just, I blame myself a bit for that, and I've always said that. So I don't mind taking that on board and wearing that. It hasn't been, it's not that easy, but you take it. If you deserve it, you take it. Get on with it.
Welcome back to The Breakdown. They're talking a big crowd at Eden Parks. The Hurricanes and the Blues. James Parsons, Dane Coles going head-to-head, literally going head-to-head. But it looks as though you, Colesy, are already in the wars. A bit of claret at training, a knock across the nose. Does that mean you guys are well and truly ready for Sunday's game?
Yeah, mate, ready to go. Had a bit of a in-house hit-out on Friday, so... yeah, just got my face in the wrong spot, so I pay for it now. But it's good. Yeah, it was good to have a little bit of a run around.
Guys, I've actually got a question for you both. Now, I know when you throw a dart and a line out, if it doesn't hit its target, it's always the lifter's fault. But I'm actually really interested about how you dump that individually and move on to the next thing. I mean, do you both have a different technique? Start with you, JP.
Yeah, well, it goes back to an old classic of your mate Mick Byrne, as he trained us from an early sort of age around making sure that we move on pretty quickly from that area. You can't bring it back, but if you let it snowball and make back-to-back, so it's just dropping it and moving on to your next task, whatever it be. Always a little bit awkward if they zoom in on you and you go into a scrum if it's not straight, but if it's outside of that, you can sort of move on a little bit quicker.
Colesy, you?
Yeah, just probably a deep breath. I think as you get older, you get used to it. Just kind of can move on pretty quick. But I think I've had some dark days when I was a young fella. I think I thought about it for the rest of the game, which probably didn't help. But yeah, experience, mate. A couple of deep breaths, and yeah, if someone tats it back, you usually got to make a tackle or something like that. So yeah, just get on with it and get into it.
Chipper, you just heard from Colesy say that they've had a hit out. How difficult has it been for you guys, to keep the powder dry in terms of the physicality? We know the whole competition is going to be physical. Has it been that case for you guys, or has it just been all guns blazing?
No, obviously the first few weeks were pretty low-key and just making sure we got our sort of skill set and our systems back in order. But last week we finished off with a hit-out on Saturday with the full squad. So pretty similar to, I think, most sides, is you had to have a look at each other, and we managed to get through most of it unscathed, which is good, so that we can have a fresh squad coming into this week.
Colesy, you talked about when you got back into the action, got back into training, it had been hard. You'd had some times where getting that motivation and getting back out there as a veteran player. Are you relieved to see the back of that and the fact that you know now that the contest starts? And is that something you're craving for, the fact that you're going to get some regular footy against top quality opposition every week?
Yeah, especially for an older bloke. Bloody my days are bloody numbered, so it's good to be back and playing in front of stadiums and stuff like that. So, mate, yeah, we're stoked. Like every franchise in New Zealand, we're very grateful, especially with the news with the fans getting along to the games, mate. So, yeah, we can't wait. It's going to be a great competition. Teams will be ripping into each other, so give the fans what they want.
JP, the Blues have spoken year after year about leadership. Now you're walking in, you're seeing Dan Carter, Bode Barrett, you know, Patrick stepped up, but you've been one of those leaders. What's been the biggest difference for you?
I think a lot of it is around the bulk of our groups getting a bit of experience, and we're also getting certain guys brought in, but I think, you know, a core group of us have been around for, you know, 4 or 5 years now, so there's been a bit of maturity throughout, not just on 1 or 2 men anymore. The voice is coming from multiple sources rather than the same old tune. As you know, it can get a bit old if it's the same voice, so it's getting that leadership depth throughout the group, which seems to be feeling well. And look, we're led really well by our skip, and Paddy. He's just going great guns at the moment and putting us all in the right order. And I think Hori might have just looked to sign up Millsy as another 100-test All Black.
That's a waste of money.
Exactly. Colsey, I see a little bit of sort of flares come out your sort of ears when one of those names got mentioned by JK there, but 5 visits to Eden Park, 5 wins. What have you guys focused on to make sure that becomes 6?
Oh, mate, yeah, obviously there's a little bit of, you know, motivation this week with Bears playing, but just keeping the simple stuff pretty, mate, set piece is always a big one. Keeping on to the ball, we know if the game gets quite erratic, the Blues have got some dangerous threats. So, yeah, I think it's doing those small things, carry clean, and doing that for 80 minutes. And, yeah, it'll be good to play against our mate too, who's obviously moved up there. But, yeah, looking forward to the game.
That's always, I mean, there's been so much talk going into this game and the fact that Bodie's a big move. And it's exciting times for people in Auckland. But reality is you guys have started to play with some real confidence in the Super Rugby competition, Colsey. So what have you done to try and, I suppose, recreate that momentum? Do you feel it's still there?
Yeah, it's definitely there, mate. I think we're just trying to create a real belief amongst the team. And I think we definitely showed that in our last game against the Chiefs. We had to come back in that last 10 minutes. Especially the squad that was on, we had a lot of young boys. So just trying to power up those lads and get all the senior boys to lead and just let those young fellas go out and play some Hurricanes footy. So, mate, there's definitely plenty of belief and we don't rely on one person. You know, everyone works hard and we've got a really good team culture. So, yeah, that's 23-year-old players doing their job and playing for the Swirl, which we represent.
Colsey, a little bit of leadership has left the Hurricanes, to be fair to say. We know you've got TJ and other leaders there. Without Geordie, obviously late pull-out for the game, you've got the most experience. Do you feel the responsibility to really help out in this situation? How do you deal with the extra responsibility?
Oh, mate, yeah, like the best thing I could probably do is just play well and let the boys and follow my lead. And obviously there's going to be a bit more chat at trainings about, you know, driving the boys and leading the boys as well, but I don't take too much expectation on myself. The biggest thing I can do, like I said, is just make sure I perform well and the boys will follow. And mate, we've got great guys, like I said, TJ, Reed Prinsep, you know, and those guys can help out as well. So no, I'll just do my job and then inspire the boys to, you know, do theirs.
Chipper, your form this year, the Blues, throughout the Investec Super Rugby has been awesome. There's probably no doubt you come in and hear favourites, but your offload game has been huge. We're going to see a bit of that this weekend?
Yeah, look, I think similar to Colsey, I think you've probably got to earn the right to do that. You know, we've got 2 similar teams with electric backlines, but we don't have that front foot ball off set piece, and when that breakdown collision work, that stuff won't pay for much. So keeping it pretty simple. Look, if you win collisions and you see your mate, you get good comms, I think that's when the offloads will happen. But there's certainly no fixed plan around that. You've got to earn the right to do that.
Colsey, JP, we love these contests. We've had 3 of the 4 players today have been hookers. I think that's a great deal. The fact we've gone to the Brains Trust, we've gone to the guys who are right in the thick of it. When you line up for that first scrum, what sort of look are you going to give each other? What are we going for?
I want to hear what they talk about first.
Yeah. Does anything go on, or is it just squeeze?
No, I can't get a word in.
Usually the older...
Like now.
There they
go. Won't be getting much enough for that. Usually the old fellas will say something, but if it's a young hook, you give them the stare and then get on with it.
So you guys won't waste your breath. You won't waste your breath.
No, we're quite pleasant.
We'll give each other a nod.
That's game on. Well, we're looking forward to those nods. We're looking forward to those collisions and those contacts. Thanks very much, guys. Looking forward to seeing you on the weekend.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, lads.
Awesome.
Jason.
There it is. It is the Blues and the Hurricanes. That is game 2. That is 3 p.m. live on Sky Sport 1. It is at Eden Park. There is 25,000 tickets already sold. Look, I love what we've put together already. We've heard from the players. I think they won't be able to, can't wait. I think they're just going to have to find a way, and I think it's really important. They're going to have to make some adjustments. We heard already about adapting. So I think it's pretty important, JK, they do that.
Yeah, and interesting what Andrew said about games going down to the wire and being a contest. I think we're going to get this over the next 8 weeks. It's going to be hard to pick. TJ's on form. We've got Bowden Barrett. I mean, there's just so much to look forward to.
We've heard from our teams. We've heard who selected. Bernie, where are you?
I'm here.
We know who we've got. Who have you got?
What do you mean we've got silly question?
Well, you've got to back it up with some
silly
sort of...
question. Choose smarter. Hey, if you're in Auckland, you get the chance to embrace footy for the whole family. On Sunday, kids go free with a paying adult. Get there early and head out to number 2 field to sharpen up the skills ahead of their Super Rugby season. And if you're with a club within the Auckland region, you'll get a good rate. And kids, best news, after the game, you'll get to be let loose on the field. It's a pitch invasion that's all good with the big people. So get ready to have your Dan Carter or Bowden Barrett moment and go crazy. Super Rugby Aotearoa kicking off in 4 days' time. There it is, Saturday, 13th of June, 6:30, live on Sky. And also on Sunday, wow, Eden Park is going to absolutely light up. 3:35, of course, all the action from 3 o'clock live on Sky Sport. I cannot wait, and I'll see you in Dunedin.
Absolutely. Do you think
Take your woolies.
We're going to have plenty to talk about come Tuesday next week? Crowds, great action. It is all going to happen, and you will see us in 7 days to talk it all through. Thanks for watching. See you next Tuesday night.